Good evening, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Cambodia Global Dialogue of Southeast Asia TV. I have the pleasure to have a good friend, Tayseng. I'm not going to bother introducing you. I'll let you introduce yourself later on. We're going to have a good dialogue tonight on a topic that is very dear to us, I think, because we're both lawyers. We're going to try to touch base a bit on the legal profession, something that we believe can play a very good role in terms of helping the country build its image, helping the country develop its competitiveness, helping attract foreign direct investment to the country. So it's a young profession. 1995 the bar was started, so we're not as, I would say, old and mature like other advanced societies. So tonight we're going to enjoy that thing. So Tayseng, before we start, why don't I give you a few minutes to introduce yourself?
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Sok Siphana. Thank you for the opportunity to join your show today. And I'm very pleased to share some opinion or just my basic, some limited knowledge on legal professions. Before I start, I graduated from Royal University of Law and Economics in 2000, and then I got a scholarship to study in Japan. I got my master degree. Then after come back from Japan, I was admitted to the bar in 2006. So I have nearly 13 years of practice law in Cambodia. I happen to set up my own law firms and employs a number of lawyers working with me. So through that, I hope I could be able to share some of the experience that is beneficial to other young lawyers and other colleagues in the countries.
Well, Tayseng, I think I did mention that the bar was started in 95. So if you think about 95, 2005, so what? So
24 years.
24 years,
yeah,
right?
24
years. I recall when we start, where I was the first Secretary General at that time, part-time, right? You know, and there was less than 50 people admitted. At that time, it was we tried to bring as many people, even though the quality of the education is not as even, but we try because we need to have a bar association to help society. But mostly in those days, it was not about commercial practice yet. It's more about I would say legal aid, helping the poor, helping people access to justice, that sort of thing. But we come a long way. You've been practicing 13 years, and I would say that you are quite a successful lawyer. I mean, in your own right. Share with the audience a bit. What's your le parcours juridique, your journey? You know, what have you seen in the last 13 years of your practice?
Yeah, actually, yeah. I'm the fourth Secretary General of the Bar Association as well.
Right.
So at the start, as you said, it's a young country. Cambodia is a young country. It's a post-conflict country,
Yes.
And we start to rebuild. Not only the economy, but also the profession, the judiciary, and the legal profession, especially the Bar Association. And so the Lawyer Training Center was like set up around year 2000, something like that. And then start to recruit lawyers for like 50 lawyers every year. And so far the number of lawyers have increased dramatically, and we have more than 1,000 lawyers in the whole country.
For 16 million people, that's not a lot.
Yeah, but I think it depends also how the lawyer play the role in the countries and also in the country in development, because it's not the number that counts, but the quality that counts.
All right.
Yeah, that's I would like.
Yeah, you stress more on the quality.
Yeah, stress more on the quality. We have a lot of lawyers, but the quality of trainings, the quality of capacity development of lawyers to be able to compete in the modern countries.
Yes.
We're still in the process of development. So, for the past 20 years, a lot of training were more focused on the procedures, on the court litigation, defense, especially on the criminal code and code of criminal procedure and the civil code and code of civil procedures. However, our country developed and we are open and we are integrated in the region as in the global community. where the influence from, I mean, the common law countries also come into Cambodia, and the commercial practice have become more and more sophisticated.
Yes.
So, I mean, lawyer also need to have a lot of trainings on that commercial aspect, especially transaction lawyer,
Yes.
in order
Yes.
to compete. And since our country open, we are competing with the other lawyer from the whole country.
You graduate from Royal University of Law and Economics. Have you seen, when you went there and now, in the last decade or so, have you seen an improvement in terms of curriculum from the Royal University also? Because I think the bar play only a secondary stage in terms of training, right?
Yeah.
But the student must have graduated from a normal law school first, right? Have you seen improvement in terms of the quality of the curriculum in the national university?
I think in overall, I see there's a lot of improvement.
Okay.
Comparing to the time when I studied, there are not much variety. There's a very limited number of professors who, especially Cambodian professor who teach law there.
Yes.
And we only have like French program where you study French law for the special program with a small number of students who are selected by French corporations.
Yeah.
But now the university have different program, which now even the Royal University, they even have a Japanese program, they have English-based program, they have French-based program, they have even a trilingual class program, they teach English, French and Khmer. All those, I mean, in terms of modernization and facility, I think there's a lot more than when at the time when I was at that university.
So there are improvements.
Yeah, there's an improvement. There's development in terms of facility, in terms of option for students, but it doesn't mean that, I mean, the new graduate are better than the graduate from my previous time. That's I could see also sometimes.
Why?
Because when I recruit the new graduate from university to work in my law firm, I mean, some of them could speak English, but their general knowledge are still very limited. So when they do the work, I mean, there's a lot of training that needs to be done in order to be very useful for the law firm operations. So maybe they need to be more focused, I think, and also professor and the teachers also need to improve also in terms of the modernizations and the development, catch up with the world demands of more sophisticated
I think for me a good lawyer is particularly in the commercial area, right, where I don't know much about criminal law, okay, I mean, it was not my strength, but I think as a commercial lawyer you need to understand the world of business. You need to understand, if you're advising a joint venture on real estate, you got to understand real estate industry. If you're advising a joint venture on telecom, you have to understand what telecom is all about, right? So I think the general knowledge matter quite a bit, right? And it's probably that I think is missing. But another thing that I think is also fundamental, also from the beginning, is that I regret to say that Cambodians don't like to read.
Yeah, that's also I observe that.
So when you don't read a lot, it's a bit restrictive in terms of broad knowledge. You agree with that?
Yeah, I quite agree with that. I think there's a need, even maybe Ministry of Education and we also need to have some programs to promote reading.
Yes.
Because Cambodia is a developing country.
Yes.
We lack a lot of human resource. We need to build human capital. And the only ways to build human capital is education. And to educate people, you need to learn, you need to read, you need to research. And now there's a lot of resource available, and with technologies, with Googles, with all, there's a lot of things that you can read, you can learn very quickly. So
you know
reading
what
is very
saying,
important.
You say something that drives me crazy, is that this social media. Well, I have nothing against social media. It's okay to take a picture of your birthday cake to send to your friend, WhatsApp, WeChat, whatever, but I think as professional, we waste so much time on social media. because you end up, well, social media is internet based, right? Internet is a source of information, of knowledge, if you use it. But if you are so involved into taking pictures or thing, personally, I think there are the dark side of the social media also. We should be spending more time reading.
Agree.
Not sending picture.
Yeah.
All right. So well, anyway, yeah. I'm just opening a parenthesis on the social media. But go ahead.
Yeah, but I think it's important now. Social media play a lot of significant role, either to distract or to help you to facilitate the educations.
Yes.
A lot of e-libraries, a lot of online documents that are available that children can just click research, and then you can have a lot of like journals and publications to help you to understand better what you learn at the university and to do your homework.
Yes.
But if you spend time with the social media wrongly, then it will distract. It's a waste of time. As you said, just take pictures or maybe watch movies or game. Then it would not help you to improve the education. And it's important, social media as a way of communications and sharing with also college and friends also. So sometimes, I mean, the student can even chat what they study among their friends through social media.
Yes.
Even when I happen to run media companies at the Phnom Penh Post, so I see social media and digitalizations, and that's very important. If you use it correctly, it will play the role to serve your benefits, and it's faster.
But you see, that's saying it go to the fundamental premise that I say, that you have to like to read. But if you don't like to read, when you run a media company, you know, if the article come out, but if you're only attracted by the first 3 lines, you say, oh my God, it's too long and I don't want to read. To me, I think people have to want to improve themselves. It's only so much you can give in terms of information, you know. But if they feel, well, you know, I think it's more fun to send picture than to make effort to read. It's only so much, yeah.
I think that fully agrees, and it's very important. I mean, that's the key of success also.
Yes.
And I mean, from my personal experience, because I mean, I'm born in the countryside, I come to Phnom Penh. The only way that I come and I become who I am today is by reading.
Yes.
I read a lot. I buy a book. I read politics. I read business. I read law.
That's
and as you said, coming back to the legal professions, if you speak English, it will help you a lot.
Oh yes,
so,
I agree.
So as a good lawyer, it's important. And foreign language, either you speak French, you speak English, or if now you speak Chinese, that's a good tool to help you succeed in your legal professions.
Okay.
Reading is, as you said, will give you opportunity, like open your eye, you can see a lot of things, and then you go overseas, the people discuss on a new topic. I don't know, we talk of like Industrial Revolution 4 or something like that. And you need to like encourage yourself to read more than what you are doing every day in order to expand your general knowledge. So I would encourage, I mean, all Cambodian lawyers, like reading is very important to help them.
Good. Well, Tayseng, we're gonna have a short break, and when we come back, I want to tackle something more specific, which is a transactional lawyer. You know, how can we encourage people? What can they do? What they should do to become, you know, a good lawyer? You know, okay. Tayseng, you know, I'm also a practicing lawyer, and I find that when people come to see me the first few times, they rarely talk about law. When a Singaporean fly over, or a British or an Australian come and we have lunch, rarely we talk about law. We talk about how's your country doing, what's your sector that is growing, what's the future, what are the area that Cambodia have competitiveness, that sort of thing. So that lead me to a profession, is that before people invest in a country, they want to know about your country. But because lawyer play a very important role, they want to meet the lawyer. But if they meet the lawyer and they have not decided to invest yet, They're not going to ask you about the legal aspect of incorporating a company or get a tax ID or no, they don't. So that's why I go to the premise that a good lawyer must have good general knowledge, economic knowledge, sectoral knowledge. What's your view on that?
I agree. I mean, with that, because I mean that's the foundations, and I mean the first is that the lawyers is ambassador for the promotions of your countries and of the investment also, and the investor, the foreign people come and have believed that a lawyer have experience and inside knowledge of the society as a whole. So to become a good lawyer, you need to have a fundamental knowledge and the basic idea of the overall key indicator of the strength and weakness of the country. So see where the economy grows, where are the strong and the weak point of the country. As you said, sometimes the investor concerned about political risk.
Yes.
They concerned about the enforcement of law.
Yes.
They concerned about the risk of your economy. Maybe there's some few key indicator they need to find out first before they go into detail of the legal provisions.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
So as a transaction or commercial lawyer, that's very important. It's a lot different from a criminal lawyer where you start to know how to file lawsuit and then start the legal proceeding, defend your client. That's important.
You know, Tayseng, you touched on something that personally I'm having followed the legal development of Cambodia since the peace process, meaning 93, because I was here in 93 as a UN lawyer. And I would say 93 to 2019 is what, 26 years?
Yeah.
So I see from zero base to where we are now, and reflecting on the legal profession, particularly from the transactional side now, there's one criticism I would say about donor, about development partner. They meant well. To be fair to them, they meant well. But for them, because their objectives are so narrow, right? They say Cambodia is a post-crisis country, issue of human rights, issue of more like a basic defense, that sort of thing. So they only have program to teach us, Cambodian lawyer, stuff that you mentioned. Criminal court, criminal procedure, civil procedure, that sort of thing. That's all. And when you ask them, but why can you not have a program to support how to draft contract, about how to better understand company law? They say, no, our job is not that, it should be a private sector. So what you have, and when you look at the, I'm pretty sure when you look at Phnom Penh Post or Khmer Times, you see sometimes the advertising, they say, well, this university offer a master degree of law. But then you look at the bottom, specialized in human rights.
Yeah.
So I would say they meant well, okay? But I think donors have not been able to adjust this last 10 years or so to the changing need of our society, that we need more lawyers who can assist transaction. So if I say that a Cambodian Oknya, right now, he can afford to hire a lawyer, but not to help him, you know, defend a criminal case, but to help draft a contract to buy land or whatever. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think that there was like the trends and often the agenda from development partners they try like to promote human rights and democracy.
Yeah, which is fine.
It's fine. I mean, there's an area where they play.
Yes.
But there's in the private sector, mostly the private sector themselves try to help themselves. So there's no fund, no donor budget just to promote the commercial practice. When I was Secretary General of the bar, and then we tried to contact with different bar associations and also try to invite. I think at that time there was only like Canadian Bar Association would provide training on commercial law and international business transactions. Other than that, I mean the other lawyers, the Bar Association or other development partner provide us only training on human rights, as you said. So it's a pity because you need why you need to protect your rights, you need also to develop the country.
Yes.
And to have a good transaction lawyer can also promote and participate in transaction and then business and economic development of the country as well.
Yeah.
So the government, I mean the Cambodian government as well as the development partner have not, I mean, helped much to the private sector in developing that area.
Yeah.
Even currently, I mean the Bar Association, I don't see much training on commercial law. I mean it's a pity because the commercial transaction, the development have been expanding for the past 20 years, and there's a lot of opportunity for younger lawyers to play in the commercial practice.
You know, I recall in the early years after the peace process, when you have international transaction, joint venture, some foreign company buy a big hotel in Cambodia, I won't mention the name, you know, but the contract are drafted in other country. They flew in, and what they have is some local lawyer who end up being just a verbal translator, right? So to me, you know, when you talk about defending the right, you know, I think economic right is as important as human right, because if you are a businessman and I'm your lawyer and I'm not in a position to defend your negotiating position, you end up having a contract that is like this, not in favor of the local. I'm not saying that we should always have like this. There's no such thing as something like this, but we should be able to understand foreign law. We should be able to understand why certain contract clause is not in the benefit of the local, you know, and why certain clause will bring problem to the local joint venture and to the local company, for example. So yes, economic right are as important as commercial right, as important as human right.
Yeah, I think that's basic. I mean, you need to have something to eat first in order to talk about other things.
Yes.
I agree that human rights is important, but the rights to the rights to profession, the rights to economic rights, as you said, you need to earn, you need to build the countries to be strong and developed countries before you can enjoy the full other rights. I mean, if I compare, I mean, ranking, I would, as a country where it was like destroys like to zero, and now it returned to the rebuilding. I think so far what I see is the Cambodian government have been doing quite well in terms of economic development. Its GDP grows in a rate like 7+% for the past 20 years. That is like one of the miracle. What I could say it's a miracle that Cambodia could develop that economy so fast. The other thing is to develop the capacity as a so legal profession as a lawyer, commercial lawyer need to expand their knowledge and to be competitive. So they need to be competitive with other lawyers in other country, because you look at the law in Thailand and Vietnam, so maybe mostly you're faced with Malaysian lawyer, Singapore lawyer, or where you are. So that you need to see yourself, position yourself, and improve the transaction knowledge in order to compete with the other country in the world. And I myself also had experience in like transaction where just a contractor draft in Singapore by the two Singapore law firm for an M&A on a Cambodian company. So you're a Cambodian lawyer, you will just check the procedure where okay, whether it will be enforceable in Cambodia after all the contracts have been made. Why don't they just prepare that and draft it in Cambodia by the Cambodian lawyer? You don't need to pay money for the Singapore lawyer who work on that. So,
I think if we look at the contract by nature, when you have a contract, at some point there'll be some breach, at some point there'll be some dispute, right? And when you get to the point where you get to a dispute, this is where a good contract matter. This is where a good lawyer, you know, is important, because this is where your client could lose everything, or you know, or could gain, right? So I think we're gonna take a short break. When we come back, I want to go over a bit more on the impact of this lack of capacity when it comes to dispute resolution, particularly in arbitration, for example. When you have to go arbitration in Singapore and Hong Kong, for example, where do we fit in that one? Can we defend our interests of our fellow Cambodian businessmen or not? Okay, Tayseng, you know, we in the business is like marriage, right? It's always exciting when you get married. I'm not saying I've been married 26 years, so still happy with 2 kids. You know, I'm not saying that, but occasionally we have a few dispute here. She like to go eat in the place. I don't like to go, and before we know, the kids step in and we have some issue, and the dinner was not a good dinner. Okay, but in business, it's the same. You know, big ceremony, groundbreaking. You know, all over the news. Then 4 years later, big dispute. Right. So this is a fact of life. And the role of lawyer is so important, not just in Cambodia, because you see, when a foreigner come to do a JV with Cambodia, number one, they don't want to use a local court. And we, the Cambodian, will say, oh, but I don't want to use your court. Your court also, you're from Malaysia. I don't want. Okay. Then we pick what? Arbitration. And arbitration, we have a young arbitration center. But most of the time, 3 or 4 years ago or 10 years ago, we go to Singapore.
Hong Kong, maybe.
So tell me, because I know you're quite experienced. You know, you're involved in many cases like that. What is your impression when it comes to representing client in foreign jurisdiction arbitration, for example?
I think the contracts is very important. So when talking about relationship can change over time.
Yes.
So as approach, I mean, when I advise my client, I already remember the saying that prevention is better than cure. So you need to draft a good contract, have a good, strong and good contracts to protect your interests. Because if you go to overseas, let's say to Singapore or Hong Kong arbitrations, even Cambodian arbitration center, I had experience now in the Cambodian arbitration center. We apply the law. So the arbitrator are professionals, they apply the law strictly. So if you have a good, properly draft contracts, it will help you a lot when you go to defense. And a lawyer can also help you to defend, to research, to give opinion. I mean, a transaction lawyer can also, can research and also look at the practice and the precedents and the previous decisions that they can apply in the context of your disputes. So helping the client in that aspect is very helpful from the beginning when drafting contract and resolving disputes and also preparing documents and opinion to submit to arbitrator. So understanding the procedure, correct procedure, understanding the legal implication of the contracts, interpretation of contracts are also very important. And then in order for a lawyer to be able to interpret contract properly, you need to have broad knowledge and understand the context, understand the application, the precedents. That's very, very important.
Yes. Well, so in other words, we have a National Arbitration Center here. It's what? How old is that? What, 5 years?
The operation was 2 years. Operation about 2 years.
2 years,
but
right?
the establishment was about 5 years.
Okay. So operationally they're about 2 years. So it's still a young wine bottle, right? Just put in a bottle, very young. But it'll be a while before we have more case going there, because normally in arbitration you have to put in the clause, right? The original contract.
Arbitration clause.
That's it. That you want to use that, right? So it's a matter of time that more and more contract will refer to the local arbitration, and that's why I think you mentioned before a very important word, which is language, because when you go to international arbitration, language matter. If you don't master the language, you cannot go. Even in drafting opinion on Cambodian law, you need to have a very clear. So again, I'm back to education again. You know, you move forward, but you always have to come back to say why it's important to master the language at the, perhaps even at a high school level. maybe we should push even at high school level.
Earlier possible.
Earlier as possible,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that when you come to university, you have the knowledge of the language, you learn the substantive side, you go to the bar, you learn the procedural side, and then when you get on the job, that's when you apply all that.
Yeah.
But you cannot expect to start a job and have to learn everything that you're supposed to learn from high school.
That's good. I think that's correct. So, I mean, Cambodia have been very unfortunate because we don't have many publications, maybe textbooks.
Yes, I agree.
Or, of course, our law were written in Khmer.
Yes.
But the explanatory notes and all other things, we need to read foreign language to understand the theory and the concept.
Yes.
And of course, I mean, some of our law were drafted by also experts from overseas, where they use like Modelo, UN Citro Modelo, or other common law country concept where you cannot find any precedent in your courts to interpret those provisions. So the only way that you can broaden your knowledge and understand that law is to read law in foreign language, to read precedent, to read also the textbook in the foreign language, especially English. And English is a must.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the earlier possible tries to, while you study law, you need to study language. And I always advise all my friends and colleagues and sister and brother, I mean, the foreign language as important as your lawyer skill, the legal skill, legal knowledge. And it gives you as a tool to help you to learn fast, to learn better, to understand, to broaden your knowledge. So,
well, Tayseng, I'm about to finish my thesis, PhD thesis this time with the University of Paris, too, CAMBODIA'S, and it's a topic that very much relate to what you said. Is that it's comparative law, how the common law and the civil law coexist together in Cambodia. And it linked to what you say because we start from zero base, many donor friends, to be fair to them, I always stress fairness, that they want to help us. But an American will come bringing what he knows, which is American law. A Canadian will bring what he knows, a Japanese will bring what he knows, a Malaysian will bring what he knows. And at the end, what we have so many lovers, you confuse. So you see, at one point, the pendulum is like this. Civil law, common law, because they cohabitate, right? And we don't know, because you said that if a foreign expert coming from a common law country, he brings a certain theory. He did right on that. But because we don't know much about that theory, what we have is a translation from pyramid or gold translation, right? They never translate the theory. They translate the draft. So what you have is a Khmer draft. We don't know what happened behind. A director become a board director. A board director become a managing director. And a cow become a horse become a buffalo. That's the problem we have in Cambodia. And that's why I think it's important that 20-some years later, we Cambodian, I'm not saying anything about nationalism or anything, right? That's a global trend now, reverting back. But we as Cambodians should start to, we have enough knowledge now in our country after 20-some years. You and I and many other Cambodian lawyers, we should start writing our own law with our own system. A cow should remain a cow, not a buffalo.
Correct.
And this is important. But so there's a lot of I would say effort, and I think the role of counsel jurists matter quite a bit. But it's important that we have to step in to say, look, okay, we will always welcome foreign advisor as in terms of input. But the drafting should be us.
I quite agree with that. I think let's take experience of Japan. I mean, Japan after the Second World War, they also developed the legal system where they learn from Germans, they learn from Germany, from France, and from the US, and then they bring into their countries, and the legal transplant always miss something, but they need to build their own system, their own legal team, their own experts, and develop from that. And you, some countries, some concepts are not created in our countries, and there's no choice. If you study the financial law, some bond derivative or whatsoever security, it's not created in our country. You need to learn from other countries, from more advanced, and then you need to select what is best and suitable to use in the context of Cambodia at our current level of development. And so Cambodia has to be smart in choosing. When you study comparative law, that's also good. The good side and the bad side of each system. And you select the good system which can be used in our country. That's very important. To select. So
you know. Well, I'm not finished with my thesis yet, but I come up with a sort of like interim conclusion, and the conclusion is like this: Cambodia is a sort of like a country that happened by historical reason to welcome both systems, not by choice, because we didn't know, because like I say, it's all come together, the Big Bang approach, but we've been able now to have all the ingredient there. Now moving forward is how do we use the ingredient, as you said. We have the civil law, we have common law. Even within the common law there are different versions, you know. So how do we, well, civil law the same thing, the German is different than the French different than the Japanese. So how do we pick the ingredient that fit our society, fit our need, fit our culture? Because law is culture, culture is law, right? So, and I think by now, we should say, okay, I have the ingredient now. How can we bring a team of Cambodian to say, okay, which one work for us? Like, we don't have a notion of trust. But recently, the Ministry of Finance adopt a trust law. We don't know yet the detail and the sub-decree. But they say, well, if we have this instrument, we could have a better management of asset, for example, right? I don't know. What's the intent, but for sure trust is an Anglo-Saxon concept. We don't have that in the civil law, but why not have it if it works?
Just in connection to that, just an example, the financial trust law that adopted produced by Ministry of Economy and Finance, and also we have law on anti-money laundering and financial terrorism, where also there's a certain provision regarding trust, where you need institution, which is completely a common law concept. That's just, I picked just that example. So I think we are living in a globalized world, and the influence from other countries where they have a stronger economy and where you do trade with them is unavoidable. So it's just a matter of how we can choose to use it to build our country. So.
Well, you know, if I can use a metaphor, sometimes it's not bad to start from scratch because you don't have the legacy. You don't have the burden of the past, like, you know, iPhone, iPad, right? So I go to some country and I walk to the office, they still have the big screen like this, you know, like the big TV monitor. So I said, wow, your country is so advanced, but in your office you still have all this big screen. And you know what they told me? They said, well, in our budget we have to amortize 10 years. So we still have 3 more years before we can throw away that, you know. But for us, we don't have that. And we buy iPhone, Samsung, Galaxy, whatever, right? The latest one. So in the legal concept, why not? Why not? You know, we're not stuck. It's how we can use a concept that work well.
I think that's what I see. It's an opportunity for Cambodia to be competitive, to catch up with the world. I mean, we pick up the latest technology, we pick up the best practice, the best practice which have been tested in other countries for a long time, and we see that have been successful, and then we take it and use it. And it's just a matter for us to open our heart, our mind, and we look forward to learn more things. And then it's come to learning from other countries, take their experience and use in our country. I think that as a lawyer, I think it's important to look beyond the border as we are living in a globalized world, and you need to see the trend where, because we are trading with the common law country, and you need to understand the common law concept.
You use the word to understand. I think it's very important that we understand also what transpired within our own jurisprudence. And I say jurisprudence because so far the difficulty of improving is that we must know what we have, what we don't have, what we have, interpret certain thing, right? And so far, in my years practicing law here and helping developing the legal system in Cambodia here, my biggest frustration is on the lack of jurisprudence, because I don't know how the court would interpret a certain, say, good faith, certain doctrine. I don't know how they translate abuse of right, for example, right? But we, as a practicing lawyer, we need to know to advise clients. Say, if that doctrine in Cambodia, the court would interpret like that, right? We don't have that, and that's why I would love to see in the future that our court, you know, at different level of jurisdiction, Supreme, Appeal, or lower court, publish their jurisprudence, and also the academic. Our academic have to step in deeper to start writing about different law, analyzing. What do you think of that?
No, I think that's very crucial, and I see the same problem, and I mean, frankly, I have the same frustrations, because you can manage draft a very beautiful, very good law, very comprehensive, like the code, the big code, but no one knows exactly what is the direction of your enforcement. And the judge, they are trained to read, to remember the provisions, but to interpret those provisions and applies in the daily life. It's difficult. Even among the judge themselves, I have a lot of friends who are judge and sitting on a bench. And I said, why you always interpret this provision differently from one judge to another? I said, that is the come back to the problem, because their previous decision was not published, was not circulated. How do I know? And that's my understanding. And I always talk with, my colleagues in the Ministry of Justice, and some of them are very senior in the ministry. I think, please start. We have to have the courage to publish the decisions. And then, as you said, the academics start to analyze whether that decision is correctly interpreted, and then we can compile all those kind of arguments and different opinions, and it's just a matter of the judge. They have discretion to decide what is good and what is bad for the country. So, and to build that, you need to start by publishing and circulating. If you don't know, maybe the court in Battambang decide the same case on differently, and the court in Phnom Penh decide different. And it's very difficult for you as a lawyer to advise client, because I said, when my client asks me this article, what does it mean? And that's always qualification where I don't really know what the court would say, because there's no supporting evidence from the previous decisions. So the best experience I have is this. But my judge is already
this is probably one area that I hope to see more development on that side. But for me, I also want to see our academic to step in more. We not the academic, us also as a practicing lawyer, we should write more. It's non-binding. It's just our view, but at least we have the exposure, And if you look at the civil code, right, 1,300 some article. If they put Article 3, right, not Article 1,292. This is Article 3. It means that it start early, right? It will have some bearing on the remaining 1,300 article. If they mention something on good faith, for example, it must mean something. It's important. But how important? I don't know what it means. So I think, yes, we need more publication. We need more guidance. And ultimately, we can build our own jurisprudence. Because right now, I would say, because Japan helped us, the judge tend to rely on Japanese jurisprudence. That's the thing.
But even the Japanese students are also very limited.
Yes.
Because as far as I understand, Japanese professor, Japanese judge are also looking at the president using France,
yes.
maybe the Cour de Cassation
yes.
in France or
yeah.
in Germany,
yes.
as the origin of their law as well,
yeah.
to go there. So we have to look in the Japanese, and we have to look also broader in other countries. As you have said, that's very important. I mean, personally, what I see is we need to create an enabling environment
yes.
to encourage people more to, especially the academic and practitioner,
yeah.
to express opinion.
Yes. To write
Yeah,
treaties. Yeah.
write their book.
Yeah.
Write their book.
It's
they
their
can
view.
comment.
It's their view.
It's just
it's
a
their
comment,
view.
their personal view. And
it's
it's protected by our constitution.
Yes, yes.
It's a freedom of
yes.
expression. You
yes.
can write, you
yeah.
can explain.
And just can read, right? In the comfort at home, they say,
and
that professor
sure.
said this,
Yeah.
that guy said that.
And in my experience, in order to write something, you need to read, to
yes.
research a lot.
Yes, you have to compare.
Yeah, come back to like the concept of good faith.
Yes.
I mean, just Google search. There's a lot of theses published in France
oh my God.
or in other countries.
Yes.
Maybe there's a lot of publication. I found maybe 4 or 5 theses written on the PhD thesis on good faith, La Bonne Foi in France. So if we start to rise, our people have changed the mentality of to think of writing critically.
Yes.
Then it will improve.
Yeah, critical thinking. That's the word. Critical thinking.
So that's important.
Yeah, I think ultimately we have to remain positive. Yeah. The country start from zero base. 26 years later, we are where we are now. Proud to have a young practitioner, successful like you. It's symbolic that the country have made good progress. Okay, so in that sense, let's continue another, hopefully not too long, 10 more years, and then we keep improving. Critical thinking is very important. The role of academics is important. The role of practitioner lawyers is important. So I want to say thank you, Tayseng, for coming. Unfortunately, the program is finished, and I want to say thank you for sharing your personal view on legal profession. Thank you very much. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're coming to the end of the program, and I'm not going to summarize because the discussion is so rich, and I hope young lawyer, law student, even a judiciary official from justice, a professor can learn something from this discussion, and hopefully we can improve our legal profession, legal system to help our country. So on that note, good night.